Ben Wienburg's deck is Grixis, Grixis.
Welcome to Tuesday Night Modern.
Welcome indeed. We've got a pretty nice round one here for you.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Ben Wienburg versus local Affinity aficionado Zach Creemer, also a burn aficionado. Some like it hot.
Also a fish aficionado.
Is he?
I don't know.
I don't know that I've ever seen him play fish before.
No, I meant like eating fish, like salmon.
Oh, I think that's a bit of a stretch.
Anyway, Ben Wienburg's on Grixis, which is the Grixis build, splashing Brimaz.
Oh, wow. That's an aggressive splash.
No, it's not.
That would be a very aggressive splash. What are you talking about?
Concur. Shuffling up, they're deciding here. Who's favored here? There were 3 Affinity decks in the top 8, or in the day 2 of the SCG this weekend, and none of them converted into the top 8. However, right. 4 of the 17 Grixis decks did.
Right.
I think that's just a numbers game. I think they just had that many copies in the tournament.
Right. So, if you look at the other decks that made the top 8 there, Living End, as close to a buy as Affinity's going to get.
Mm-hmm.
Eldrazi-tron, not a good matchup for them at all. And you have this Grixis deck where I think you're slightly favored, but it's very slight.
Yes.
I think 2 opponents of equal skill and equal familiarity with the matchup. The Affinity player is going to win the majority of those games, but they're all going to be very close games.
Alright, so we've got a hand for Zach. He's on 6. Keeps the scry on top. And he's got the basic island.
Very nice.
Your standard, I'm going to throw these 3 cards on the table and tell you what my life total is.
Yeah.
Not my favorite move when it comes to how you should conduct yourself with this Affinity deck. I don't mind slowing the turn 1 down so that people can really marinate on the power of the deck.
Yeah, I don't want to marinate in anything. I think it would slow down a lot if mental misstep were legal, but it is not.
Concur. I mean, we don't.
Zachary Creemer making a legal play and then immediately realizing it. Also showing his hand. How important is it that that Edge champion is no longer secret?
Quite. I would say that is the key card in matchups like this where when you look at the Grixis list, the removal isn't that heavy, but it's a Snapcaster Mage. It gives it a bunch of redundancy.
Right.
And so it's a removal heavy matchup. You have to treat it that way. And so in these removal heavy matchups, you need that card. That card is super critical to win the game. Also because cranial plating, there's no destroy target cranial plating like there is in the Jund matchup.
Right.
So it turns cranial plating into just an unstoppable game. Which is also part of the makeup of Zach's hand. He has a cranial plating in there as well. Let's see if there's a third land to resolve this. I guess Edge Champion wouldn't be a good play right here.
Yeah, you definitely want to be able to keep it alive, and with the 1 artifact, now 2 artifacts.
I misspoke. We just saw Colgan's command is a destroy target artifact, so
Oh,
So
sure.
Ben can snap that back or have another one for this cranial plating. If he doesn't, it's a pretty big game.
And it looks like Ben's actually on the Grixis. I don't know. I haven't seen a Death Shadow.
Or a Street Wraith. Would be another indicator.
So it's probably just like a straight Grixis control build.
Mm-hmm. Utilizing the Sultai mechanic of Delve. A little bit of a flavor miss there.
I don't know that it's a flavor miss. Come on. There's the Delver. We're on Grixis Delver.
Okay. So yeah, now that we're on Grixis Delver, we for sure need this cranial or this Edge Champion to resolve. Which it does.
Yeah, clearly he's tapped out. He's not going to be able to like, really stop it from resolving. But the fact that he can hold up like Kolaghan's command mana means that he, until he plays another artifact, preferably another Darksteel Citadel, he can't really attack into this Gurmag Angler profitably. Because he's one artifact removal spell away from just throwing away this Edge Champion and realistically the game.
See, here's the situation where you don't want to engage right now. If you get this manland killed, then you're down to three actual artifacts, and you don't have another manland to back it up.
I think he just realizes that he's in a race now.
Sure. I'm wondering if... Oh, wow, that was a great draw for Zach.
Yeah, he's got the double...
He's got... Well, it's Spire of Industry. It turns on Galvanic Blast. So
Right.
he can even... I don't know if it's better to sit back on it or...
Well, so if he swings in, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, and the Galvanic Blast will resolve through the mana leak that's in Ben's hand.
Well, no, because he has to tap a creature to get the 5.
The cranial plating can be...
Oh, sure, yeah.
Is 3, and the Edge Champion itself is 2, so that's 5 damage. And then Ben will be at 4. So he's got Xaxes if he just plays it right. Just go for it. You just gotta, I mean... Oh, so, see, this is not going to end well for him. Because he knows about the mana leak. Ben has so much mana on his side of the board. You just have to go for it. You just have to make him... Ben's got how many cards in hand? 2?
2, and I believe they're Stubborn Denial, Mana Leak.
Oh, do we know about Stubborn? I know he knows about the mana leak because it got...
Oh no, it's Snapcaster. So Ben goes down to 6.
Yeah, and that's the game. Yeah, he doesn't have enough blockers. So if he just attacks in with the cranial plating, then Ben has the Kolaghan's command. He's forced to... I don't know that he's forced to. You might have been able to trick him into it. But in that situation, then you can block with your Blinkmoth Nexuses and use the Galvanic Blast to take out creatures. Use one of them to take out a creature.
I don't know. Yeah, I just
you
don't know
like-
if you can... If you're pointing those Gal Blasted creatures at that point in the game, I don't know if you can really...
I'm just saying if he Kolaghan's commands the cranial plating,
Okay.
then you get to then what? Then it. So attacking with just the cranial plating etch champion puts Ben at a decision point to begin with, which is what you want to do. Affinity is a deck where you're going to get wins by them being unable to narrow, like they can only play around so many cards for so long. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so eventually he can't play around Galvanic Blast, and he has to pull the trigger on that Kolaghan's command. In which case you then know that you can't if he just goes to 4, you just get to Gal Blast him.
Right.
And if he Kolaghan's commands, then you know you have to Gal Blast the Delver, take 7.
Right.
Block the Angler with something and take 7, then do 2 more with the Etch Champion the next turn, and then you have the other Galvanic Blast to get him if you can.
Sure. So not knowing what's in Ben's hand.
We knew about Mana Leak was the only card we knew about.
Right, we knew about Mana Leak.
So we're playing around one other card?
Yeah, one other card, but in that situation, any removal spell is really bad for you. And this Grixis deck has a lot of them.
Concur. I'm not saying it's a great situation. I'm not saying it's even a winnable situation for Zach.
What are you saying?
I'm saying that the appropriate play is to close down the number of options Ben has.
Okay.
And so every draw step's bad for you. And so by giving him that additional time...
Oh yeah, you definitely want to close out the game as quickly as possible.
Right.
So what is your sideboard option here for Affinity?
So given the current metagame, with Grixis Shadow being such a huge portion, I'm really a huge fan of having Rest in Peace in my sideboard right now.
Okay.
I think it blanks like 8 cards in their deck, which is very, very important. So I would take out some number of Steel Overseers and bring in some number of Rest in Pieces.
Gotcha.
Other than that, I want to have Spellskite and Welding Jar, both of which I'm toying with putting them in various places in my list. I have 1 Spellskite in the main, 1 Welding Jar in the main, but I could go to just Welding Jar in the main and 2 Spellskite in the sideboard.
Okay.
I've played that configuration before.
Gotcha. Do you think Welding Jar in the main is much better than Spellskite in the main?
Yeah, it's got a little bit more versatility against things like Anger of the Gods.
Okay.
So, like, Anger of the Gods obviously doesn't kill Spellskite.
Right.
But it doesn't let your Spellskite save another card, which is what you want Spellskite to do.
Sure.
Alright, so here's Zach on a big turn 1. Let's see what we come up with.
Darksteel Citadel, Springleaf Drum, Mox Opal.
Yeah, that Mox Opal's live. We got a Memnite. Oh, Signal Pest. To fire out, okay. Now we're at 2 mana. Here's a Steel Overseer.
There we go. That's a strong opening if Ben doesn't have a removal spell.
Yeah, Bolt or a Fatal Push here is not the best.
But if he doesn't have either of those, then this hand is great. And yeah, it looks like he doesn't. It looks like he's just going to have to shock himself for Seer Visions to try and look for an answer. So I think with this Grixis deck against Affinity, you very much have to be aware of the fact that the way that you lose this game is by letting them get out ahead of you. And as such, I don't think that this hand was particularly good as a keep for Ben, but I don't know all the cards in his hand. I saw a couple Mana Leaks, which I'm surprised to even stay in. especially on the draw. So Ben is debating going down to 14. Let's see what he gets. Yeah, Ben's going all the way down to 14. That's a lot of damage to be dealing yourself against this Affinity deck.
Concur.
Especially when this opening hand is very good. He's staring down 6 damage next turn with nothing else. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely a good one. If you know that you're gonna be able to get rid of this Steel Overseer. So Ben goes up to 16. Zach goes down to 18.
Oh wow! Zach's top deck there was just the best possible.
The best possible. Hello, Edge Champion.
I mean, turn 3 Edge Champion is just the best possible. Okay, there's turn 1 Edge Champion hands, which are fantastic. Or like turn 1 Cranial Plating, turn 2 Edge Champion hands are fantastic. But in that situation, I think that was the best possible draw.
Yeah, definitely a strong one. Maybe Master of Ethereum would have been better, but
Yields you 2 more damage. The Master would be a 6. You would need.
he'd be threatening lethal
You
next
would
turn.
need Terminate to win to kill it. Yeah, that's interesting.
Regardless, definitely a great draw here.
I like Edge Champion because it doesn't die to anything.
Dies to nothing. Except all those things that it dies to.
Kozilek's return.
Yeah. Ghost Fire. Pyrite Spell Bomb.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, Ben's at 4.
Titan's Presence.
Holy smokes!
Holy smokes. Spatial
So-
Contortion.
Titan's Presence was a card I desperately wanted that card to be good in Standard, but the mid-range Eldrazi deck was never good enough.
Right.
So, I mean, Titan's Presence was such a fun card in Limited.
Oh man, this Delver Swing for 1 is not how you're going to win this game.
Concur.
It's going down to 3. I'm guessing basic Swamp into Damnation. That's one way to get out of this pickle, but you're still at 3.
That is definitely one way to skin a cat. So the Delver couldn't block, regardless.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's
So this buys him another turn.
+1 in the turn category.
Didn't see what the draw for Zach was, but nothing's going to affect this combat. Ornithopter.
The Thopter. The Thopteriest of the
Man,
Thopters.
he really wants this Delver to flip.
He needs a damnation. Oh, so right now he's thinking about... This hasn't been giving up. He's thinking about whether or not to... Oh, I guess it is. About whether or not to Thought Scour himself so as not to draw whatever useless card he looked at.
Right.
I thought he was investigating that as a potential line.
All right, so we got a solid 1-1 here. Game 3, Ben's gonna see the play again.
Concur. It's a heater.
Obviously, Affinity loves being on the play. How does their strategy differ being on the draw versus being on the play?
Your your hand range tightens down a little bit.
Okay.
Being on the play, like if you have one of your like Haymaker cards and you can cast it, you're willing to keep that hand but on the draw, you need a little bit more of an explosive hand.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So that's really the only thing I change.
I would be surprised to see Ben not mulligan more aggressively this game. Last game,
he kept 7, right?
Yeah, he kept 7. It was an okay 7, but not anything super exciting.
Not the 7 you wanna tell your friends
you
about.
definitely want to have a one-man interaction spell on 7 against this Affinity deck. At least one.
Mm-hmm.
And he had none.
Sure.
In fact, his curve started at 2 and didn't do a whole heck of a lot. And that leaves you open to those explosive Affinity draws, but we all know they have. Ben signaling the turn 1 Delver.
Yeah, he might have telegraphed that one a little bit.
Yeah, might have. He's Babe Ruth. He's calling a shot here.
Yep.
Pointing to the fences. Oh, a no lander for Zach. Multiple 2-drops, a 3-drop.
Is there a Mox Opal in there?
No, that's an Ornithopter and a Springleaf Drum.
Did he just keep?
He just kept a no lander. Oh, just the draw go.
So I guess he assumed if he hits any land.
Yeah, if he hits any land, then he's okay, but not great.
I don't.
So there's the land. A turn too late, probably. Mana Link's the Springleaf Drum. Whenever your opponent has the ability to Mana Link your Springleaf Drum, you know you're in trouble.
So when Zach keeps his hand, he has 16, sometimes 17 lands in his deck.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to look at 2 cards before he draws. Or he's going to look at a card and then he has to draw a land.
Right.
So there's 54 cards left. You guys run the numbers on that. I don't like that
Y'all
percentage.
run the numbers. It's a little worse than 1 in 3.
Yeah. So 60% of the games you're just not going to play.
What percentage of 5-card hands are keepable? Is the real question there.
What percentage of 5-card hands are keepable? That's so interesting. A lot.
A lot has been announced. No 3rd land drop, but that's fine. We got plenty of 2-drops. Looks like we're going to start out with an Arcbound Ravager. Pretty solid, playing into a hand of like 5 cards, I think, from Ben. 6 maybe. There's bound to be some removal in there, and this Arcbound Ravager is a good way to play around that. Eats a Mana Leak, though. Ben drawing his 3rd land first. Going down to 18. You never want your opponent to just like snap off those shock lands against you.
Concur.
You really want to make him think about it. This is a bit suspect.
Trying to think, like if I'm gonna jam a spell here, I'm trying to consider.
Yeah, I mean, so he has 2-drops, and if he draws a land, he can play that and a 2-drop. So the one of the Steel Overseers is probably the better call.
Yeah.
I think he drew can't tell what that card is. You're still Overseer number 1, though.
Yep.
Is that a dispatch? I think it's a dispatch.
Dispatch is very good here because, this Grixis deck uses so many resources to get like its one win condition into play, usually a Tassiger. Because it's switched roles here as we normally this deck's like trying to tempo the game out.
Right.
But against this Affinity deck, it plays the control game.
Right.
Where it just wants the game to go as long as possible because it knows it's going to get more card advantage long term. And so it in that scenario, that dispatch is very good. Like dispatching a Tassiger is really important. It's very, very good. Man. Here's the third land.
Overseer's a bit strange here. He could have played the Etched Champion, correct?
Correct. So
and it would have had Metalcraft.
I'm pretty sure his thought process, which is a fine thought process in some situations, is that he can overwhelm the amount of removal.
Right, but if your hand is 2 champions, then
the Grixis deck is just so full of removal.
Yeah.
That like, what are you gonna? I mean, it's never gonna be. It's never gonna be out of it. He's always got plenty. Yeah, I mean. You could have had a Mana Leak, Snapcaster. I mean, it was full,
right, but he's got his second one in hand. Sorting out the first one's fine. Multiple Serum Visions.
Yeah.
He must have liked what he saw on the first one.
Here's a fetch land. He hasn't Serum Visions locked himself.
All right. So, Etched Champion resolves.
Champion number 3.
I think it's just number 2.
2, sure.
Yeah, but this is solid.
Yeah, and so Ben just has to figure out how to not lose the game. So it's
So Ben's clearly at an advantage here, but it's not as big of an advantage as you'd think now that this as champion has resolved.
right.
All this Garmang Angler is a big deal, though.
Mm-hmm. The big old fish mouth. It's a zombie.
Multiple fishes. Yeah, this is not good.
Speaking of zombies, how do you like the standard zombies decks now that they don't have to be so marvelous?
I think
they
they're.
would just be okay.
I mean, they've always just been okay. Welding Jar, Ravager, and Signal Pest. Okay. The Signal Pest was a very good draw. Lets us stay alive here.
Yep, the Ravager becomes tapped.
Effectively removing it anyway, but that's still... It's going to put him to 1 on this attack.
Unless the Signal Pest stands in front of something.
Which could put him to 6. Yeah, you definitely don't... You know he has Lightning Bolts in the deck. You don't want to go to 1. Oh, that'll do it.
Well, it's going to put him to 1. 8.
So he could have kept his Signal Pest alive, but that was not a winning position at that point.
Right.
Oh well. So we're gonna have some feature matches for you guys in the backup, but our first one finished early, so hopefully we'll get a good couple of matches in for round 2. But we'll see you guys here in about 20 minutes at that point. And yeah.
Be safe out there.